model because they're headed. I'm just asking. All right, Matt Baker, our friend, covers the state of Florida, Tampa Bay Times. The Board of Trustees meeting now and eventually unanimously approved the plan that would allow university auxiliary funds to be loaned to the athletic department. No specific amount, timeline, or purpose was discussed. To simply approved a plan that allows them to approve future plans.
Yeah, so they're getting all
what is that even?
You know what FSU's doing right now? They're having a lot of meetings to have meetings to set up other meetings.
This one here, like basically all this says is like they took out whatever step they were going to have to do to when they get to this, they don't have to do that step. So because there's a lot of red tape you have to go through when, all right, we're going to go to the Big Ten. And they're like, yeah, but did you approve the funds from subsection B, Form 7? They're like, no. Well, you have to do that first. No, that's what they're doing here is they're trying to line up every strategic thing, even though this is like a tweet about nothing right now. It probably is an important step in their process to whatever their secret plan is to upend the world.
Right. I think it all matters in the long run, like all these little individual, I guess, decisions being made. But I don't know. I want to speak for more of the gen pop out there and feel like we all don't care about every little bit of minutia when it comes to the governmental system and all these little things with all these little politicians. At least I'm speaking for myself here. So I'm sure this matters, but it's on my radar a blip compared to like, give me the meat, give me the like FSU's putting the war chest together like that. And that is what this is. But hey, they're lining up the tanks to go mow over the ACC defenses and go, into SEC territory or a Big Ten territory. I think that's more of what we're all waiting to see. But in the meantime, you've got to get your troops together. You got to get your finances in order. You got to get, everything lined up like Paul said. And I think this is just another one of those things that are all coming together as Florida State continues to, make the decisions needed to best position themselves here moving forward, which we all know what that looks like in their minds.
Paul, you're an anti-live guy, right?
Golf, live golf?
Yes. I mean, okay. Yeah. So what if that same group,
I'd hate it,
loans $100 million or so, or maybe $500 million to Florida State University?
I would hate it. I would hate it. It would make me feel so dirty.
That seemed like that's. I'm not saying that specific.
I do wonder though, because it is a state university that falls under the jurisdiction of the United States of America, if they'd be allowed to take that much money from a foreign entity like that. So I don't know. I mean, like that. Like I don't know what the laws are, but that would seem to me to be a sticking point in just going to whatever country you wanted to and being like, hey, you guys got money to give away. Like, we don't really care what you do to anyone. Well, we need the money because we want to do this. Will you give it to us? And they'd be like, I just think that there's at least some right now protection in place so that foreign governments can't just come in and buy up state universities like that.
Yeah, for me, and I'm sure there's a lot on that end of things that would have to be figured out. And I don't know how all of that works. I won't pretend to, but yeah, I don't think the U.S. is just going to sit back and let the Saudis come start, basically taking over universities. But for me, the weird part about this story, and I know like the whole Saudi thing, or just what's the proper term for it? The
people's the public fund, or whatever.
Whatever that
PIF,
phrase.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just not up on game when it comes to
public investment fund. I think
the PIF. The moment that we start doing that and having foreign countries spend hundreds of millions of dollars so that my college football program can be in the right conference, that's the moment where I'm like, what the hell are we even doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just become a pro-French? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
When it comes to you so desperately want out of a conference that now we're going and getting I just like the fact that we're to that part and so many people fast forwarded, especially a lot of FSU fans who just don't seem to care how they get out. They just want to get out. I understand your love for the program and that you just want it to be in the best place and you want it to be like Texas and Oklahoma and have your seat on the yacht and whatever. And I understand all that, but like, doesn't there come a point where you're just like, all right, this is too far. Like, this is not worth the.
Do you want to be FIFA? Do you want to be FIFA? Like, do you want to be like that? Like, that's where I worry this is going when you let all these other outside interests come in, and that, like, instead of going for the goal of making the best possible product, you become completely corrupt to the core. And like, you can say what you want about college athletics and pro sports in this country, and doing things on the complete up and up, it's not as bad as FIFA was. Like where multiple countries are charging FIFA with fraud and all these different things. Do you want that? Because when you start inviting the wolves into the house, that's what happens.
Yeah, and I don't even know about like an exact comparison to FIFA or even the corruption part of it. Although, yeah, you'd obviously have to be on your your toes and think that there's certainly ulterior motives at play for a foreign country to be like, sure, Florida State, we'll give you $500 million so that you can move to this conference that we could care less about. But just the fact that we're getting into this level where NIL, which was overdue and needed, has turned it into now where Florida State's debating on whether to, have foreign involvement so that they can pay their debt to get out of like that. Just what are we doing? Like, am I crazy?
No,
this is like
college football. If you would have told me that we would be where we are in college athletics 5 or 10 years ago, and again, a different analogy. All right, so there's that.
I just find that wild to think about.
I don't think anything's off the table anymore.
No, sure it's not. Sure it's not. And I understand that. I just when we stop for a second and realize like what we're talking about, it's like, remember when it was just college football? And I know somebody will say, it's never just been college football. It's always been money and blah, blah. Okay, I get that. It's been money. It's always been money. I understand that as well as anybody. But like, yeah, when we start inviting other countries to, I don't know, that just seems so bizarre and such an extreme to have to go to. But here we are, and we'll see, what that plays out and looks like, because that's not a guarantee by any means. But certainly that's been floated enough times that it's not just a whisper in a Cracker Barrel restaurant between two random people. It's been talked about by people who could, actually push this thing and are actually playing around with the idea, because the stuff that we get floated through a lot of these reports and whatnot, that's intentional. That's not just, foot on the street reporting and they uncovered something. A lot of that is the AD at FSU saying, psst, psst. Just throw that out there.
By the way, it's called the Sovereign Fund.
The Sovereign Fund. Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, but yeah, I just find that crazy. Maybe I'm the only one. I'm not saying that's going to be the death of college football, and I don't want to make every opinion some sort of extreme opinion, but it just, when I stop for a second and think about it, I just feel like we're going a little too far with this whole thing here.
Here's Eye of the Watcher.